In 2020, we have seen riots and looting in the streets. We have seen armed forces moving through city streets and suburbs. We have even seen the quietest of gated communities filled with mobs of people. Violence in city streets can quickly escalate and be pushed out or boil over into residential or even suburban areas. I think it's safe to say that your homeowners association probably doesn't have a plan for this possibility, but you and your neighborhood should. So how do you keep your neighborhood safe from riots when they are nearing you or heading your way? In this video, we'll examine different ways to keep your neighborhood and your home safe when civil unrest is at your doorstep. Please consider subscribing to our newsletter to give you updates and member-specific content. Visit www.cityprepping.com/newsletter or click on the link in the description and comment section below to subscribe today. Enjoy the video. Blocking the entrance to your neighborhood. The best scenario you can expect is that rioters will not enter into your neighborhood. We'll discuss in more detail later in this video the tactics you can use should rioters spill in, but preparing a defensive measure in advance to ensure they will not enter will be the first and most important step. If you know your neighbors well enough, discuss in advance any plans to block entrances to your neighborhood, either using cars, garbage dumpsters, or some other form of barricade to prevent rioters from entering, or at least making it harder for them to enter. Rioters will look for easier points of entry, and any obstacle or barrier you can add will make them look elsewhere. Like with home intruders, most look for the easy opportunities and typically want to avoid resistance, conflict, and prey on easy targets. Map out the different entry points into your neighborhood and have a plan to spring into action if a potential riot is forming in your area. Most people react to situations, but having a plan in place allows you to be proactive and get ahead of the problem before it's too late. Don't allow your neighborhood to be an easy target. Prepare the grounds. You'll need to prepare your home for the possibility of rioters and looters moving through your streets. Cars should be parked in garages or parked somewhere safer. Flower pots, rocks, or anything else that can be easily picked up and thrown should be brought in or moved inside fenced locations. Trash cans should not be left on the curb, because starting fires in trash cans and moving them against or inside buildings is a common action for rioters. Window shades, curtains, or blinds should be drawn and closed to keep concealed any valuables you may have inside. To really stay ahead of the possibility of rioters, consider applying a clear security film to windows. This affordable option will keep your windows from shattering when people hit it with a projectile or blunt force object. Even without rioters ever appearing in your neighborhood, window security films are great to add a barrier between you and any would-be intruder. As a deterrent, they will slow down intruders and they will place one more hurdle they will have to work against to gain access to your home over any other home. If you're a shop or business owner in an area that may see violence, I cannot recommend clear security films enough to you. It will make looting your shop far less desirable. If you have it prepared in advance, making X patterns on your windows with duct tape will keep them from shattering completely and can be used as a quick last resort. Finally, you may consider having sheets of plywood that can quickly be mounted just as you would to protect your home against a hurricane. The downside of this is the space they require to store and the fact that they limit your ability to see and respond to an exterior threat. An open and shattered window in a riot situation should be considered the same as an open door. To completely prepare your grounds, and just as a general security measure I recommend in many of my videos, reinforce your doors. Both the strike plate and the frame can affordably be reinforced to require thousands more pounds of pressure than a karate kick or shoulder can produce. Prepare for fire. The rioter has two main destructive tools at their disposal: rocks and fire. Unfortunately, you can't go throughout your neighborhood removing all the fist-sized landscaping rocks, and that is another reason to consider security films for your windows. More destructive than rocks, though, is the threat of fire. Again, bring in any trash cans and remove any clear ignition sources around your property. Dead brushes you haven't gotten to clearing out should be immediately cleared. Bring in any propane tanks from exterior grills, heating units, or fire pits. Apply the same 30-foot rule applied to homeowners under threat of wildfires. Look at your perimeter for 30 feet and look for anything combustible, from lawn flags to dry trees to piles of fall leaves and old tires. If you know rioters and looters are in your neighborhood or near your neighborhood, make sure you hose down any wooden shingles on your roof, wooden fences, and turn your sprinklers on and let them run. Even a wet and slippery lawn is a form of deterrence. The wetter, the better. Even lightly spraying off your exterior walls can be enough to keep any incendiary device from spreading further. Have a fire extinguisher on hand, as you should for standard home safety. Remove the tool of fire from rioters and looters and keep your property safe. Lights, camera, action. The best deterrent of unwanted invaders are lights, cameras, and the possibility of action on your part. First, lights. Obviously, lights are only an effective deterrent from dusk to dawn, but this is a critical time when you and your property are somewhat vulnerable. A well-lit perimeter is not as inviting to a rioter or burglar as a dark or heavily shadowed property. If you live in a suburban tract, lights also help your neighbors and community respond when you cannot. Solar motion lights have gone up in lumens and down in price and energy consumption. Because they are self-contained, they continue functioning when the power goes out, and they can be installed and made operational with very little effort and no need to hardwire into your electrical system. Assess the perimeter of your home and make sure exterior walls, windows, and gates are well lit. Motion cameras, doorbell cameras, CCTV, security mirrors, even fake round plastic domes are another form of deterrent. When someone knows they are doing wrong, it is inherent in their thinking to avoid being caught on video or seen. Nobody trying to break into a house, light a fire, or even throw a rock really wants that video admitted as evidence later on in their court case. They don't want the police using a screen capture to identify them later. There are several low-cost motion-activated cameras available from multiple providers that can allow you to monitor several streams around your whole house, post captured videos to network neighborhood groups, or even have your videos monitored by a 24-hour service. I have to stress here that lights and cameras are not going to stop all rioters emboldened by the opportunity to be lawless. They're not a guarantee. What they are is nothing more than a deterrent. A well-illuminated and monitored home, or one that appears so, gives the impression that there is a vigilant homeowner inside that is ready to defend his property and life if need be. Rioters are likely to move to softer targets. If the majority of your community is well lit and it appears to be visually monitored, rioters are likely to favor softer targets or retail versus residential areas where they will be able to loot to a greater degree. Know your neighborhood and neighbors. While the first part of this video addresses the specific measures you can take around your suburban or urban home, the second part of this video focuses on leveraging your neighborhood resources. First, know your neighborhood. So many people in tract housing developments open their garage, leave for work the same way out of their neighborhood, and return the same way and close the garage door behind them. The hotter the climate, the more likely this is to be the norm. But you really have to know your neighborhood. Even your apartment building or a condominium at a boots on the ground level. What are the means of entry and egress from your neighborhood? Are there any specific roads, community parks, or sidewalks that lead into your neighborhood from business areas or areas of larger populace? Do you know the neighbors who are at these key points of entry and exit? Second, know your neighbors. Who in your neighborhood is a first responder, health professional, police officer, military, veteran, private security? Can you form a patrolling group or a watch and monitoring schedule to make sure you have eyes on your neighborhood throughout the night? Can you post people at apartment door entrances or at entry points from your neighborhood? Armed guards at entry points in the neighborhoods or apartment buildings can deter even the boldest of criminals. In addition to forming networks with these people who can help in an emergency, remember that you are part of a whole neighborhood. Know the vulnerable people in your neighborhood as well. Are there elderly people in your neighborhood who may need assistance? Have an escape plan and bag. Your neighborhood and your home is obviously your last and final stand. Between your own efforts and your neighborhood's efforts, it should be enough. There's always a possibility, however, as we have seen in instances of fire, where you absolutely have to flee your home or apartment for safer locations. Making a final stand in a building burning around you is not going to be successful. To ensure your safety, always have an escape plan and a bug-out bag. Make sure your bag has any necessary medicines as well. If you live in an urban or suburban environment, the likelihood you may have to leave your premises is higher. Know your escape routes. Favor escape routes that move away from populous areas, avoid crowds, and circumvent conflict zones. Leaving the safety of your home is always the final and last resort, and should only be done when all possibilities of staying have been eliminated. You may be able to fall back on other neighbors. Leverage technology. Leverage technology to maintain security and awareness. Using apps like Twitter, Facebook, Neighborhoodland, Nextdoor, Life360, Ring, or WhatsApp can help you network your neighborhood and allows people to report problems, threats, or suspicious activities easily. Sometimes public and HOA locations have webcams that you can monitor to track movements of people in your community who shouldn't be there. Even forming a community text string or applications like Slack can provide you a network group of active eyes and could provide instant message alerts to activities in your area. Do you have a drone? Why not deploy it for surveillance in your neighborhood? You can track movements and alert others in your community while also creating a video record with even a low-end drone. You can use a bird's eye satellite view in Google Maps to make neighborhood watch patrol assignment maps or assess possible weak points of entry points into your neighborhood. Armed with this information, you can determine which areas of your neighborhood might need more protection or surveillance. If you are preparing well in advance, you can lobby your homeowners association or neighborhood watch group for the installation of open IP cameras in high traffic and public areas. This will allow anyone with the right access and passwords to log in and observe points throughout the neighborhood. Outdoor weatherproof cameras have become very affordable in recent years. These cameras can be easily installed outside public areas or willing neighborhood houses and aimed at neighborhood entrances and exits. Access to the cameras can be restricted to just people within your neighborhood to prevent unauthorized viewing. The streams can be viewed throughout most web browsers without the need for any specialized software. Walkie-talkies or CBs shared with key neighbors can keep you in communication with one another even if cell service goes out. In short, leverage technology to integrate networks of eyes and ears on your community. Use technology to help you create 24/7 security. The more in advance you prepare, the better your preparations can be. Perhaps your neighborhood will never be infiltrated by mobs seeking to cause destruction and rob you, but measures you take now to protect yourself against a possibility will also have the added benefit of protecting you from everyday crime, even some natural disasters. Observing the 30-foot perimeter for fires, for example, protects you better from wildfires. Strengthening your doors and reviewing your lighting helps to protect you from other crimes. Networking your neighborhood groups in person and electronically makes your neighborhood less attractive for bad guys and gives you early notifications about bad situations brewing in your community. They allow for many eyes and ears on your neighborhood and allow you to outnumber the mob that may be in your neighborhood. Rocks, fires, numbers, and anonymity are the weapons of the rioter. When you reduce the threats of rocks and fire, when you surveil and watch them to remove their anonymity, and when you display unified neighborhood vigilance, you make your neighborhood and your home less attractive to looters. They will opt for less vigilant, less protected neighborhoods, even if the looting score is less. Always take the time during the first few hours after video is released to read and respond to comments. If you have any thoughts or feedback, please post those in the comments section, and I usually try to respond within the first couple of hours. Subscribe to this channel or my newsletter for member-specific content, and as always, stay safe out there.